Hello everyone, this is Nikki Yu, also known as PSEI Trader, and you're watching the Awesome10x Philippine Market Update. So every week, middle of the week, we're gonna discuss anything about the Philippine markets, and you can ask me anything. So what is the most relevant news for the week? I'd say that around Monday, there was a news clip that PNB was gonna offer a huge cash dividend or property dividend for everyone who wanted to own PNB shares. So let's read that exact news. We can see that straight from Edge. I think that was the most important news of the week. If you take a look at the 5 most viewed disclosures of the day, we'll also read that, the declaration of cash dividends, the press release of ACEN. But this week, the largest declaration was this property dividends. As you could see, since April 26 or 2 days ago, around Monday, we wish to advise that the PNB Board of Directors approved and confirmed the property dividend declaration of up to 239 million shares of PNB Holdings Corporation, aka PHC, with a par value of 100 per share to all the stock shareholders who has PNB on the record as of May 18, 2021. Now, for some people, they believe that this shares of PNB, especially this property dividend, is likely to be worth at least more than 50% or 100% based on the valuation of all these properties. So although it is very clear that properties are not necessarily easy to liquidate, you should understand that every one single share of PNB is entitled to 0.15. So that's almost like for every 7 shares of PNB, you get 1 PHC. So it's almost like 1:7. The ratio will be divided by the total number of outstanding shares declared as of the property dividends of PHC. And in case you've got a fractional share, PNB will pay you a cash in lieu of that fraction on that payment or settlement date. So all the shareholders on the record as of May 18, 2021, so 0.15688619 shares of PHC. So let's just round it up to around 0.15. Let's just think about it as 1:7 because there's a lot of fractions there. So the payment date is not yet announced, but it will be determined perhaps sometime within this year. So when is May 18? So when your record date is May 18, you essentially have around May 13, Thursday, 3 days before that record date to actually be the last day wherein you are entitled for those shares. Normally, guys, what we notice for companies, whenever there's a declaration of cash dividends or stock dividends, people begin to value that share price correct. So they try to value it based on that actual news clip. So given that PNB, if you'll notice, PNB has been in a slump over the last 3 months. From December, it rallied to as high as 32.5. The rationale being actually that PNB was really looking to sell real estate. Take note that when that news was announced around September, it rallied straight from 19 to 32 or almost 60%. So the market at least assumes a 50% upside on PNB's share valuation based on this announcement. And that's what exactly happened. The rule was, instead of gaining this September to December, it happened within just a week. Specifically, 3 days. 1, 2, 3. So in the next 3 to 6 months, we can see and infer that the market assumes that PHC shares are very much in demand. And for the last 3 to 5 years, PNB shares have been slumping because of the fact that the book value of PNB is said to be undervalued, and it's just shares are falling because of the banks, perhaps bank-related woes. In order to restructure the bank, people want them to unload assets, and we want to actually see how high would these assets go for. It's very hard to determine, but when you actually look at PNB's market cap, the entire market cap of PNB today is less than market value, less than book value. Take note, PNB's market cap today. Let's take a look at Philippine National Bank market cap. So the market capitalization of PNB can be found here on Reuters with about 35 So it has, it writes here how much? 39 billion pesos, or roughly about $800 million. So for $800 million, PNB is the fifth largest bank. Take note on the key statistics. So how much do they have sales in a year? And how much is their earnings prior to COVID? You could see that in just key metrics here, like financials, for the last 5 years, the interest income from the bank is about 24 to 46. I'd say this is billions in revenues. Of course, they've got a lot of interest expense, net interest income. So their actual income is roughly in the realm of 759 million pesos as of 2020. It used to have 6 to 12 billion pesos net income over before tax, or EBIT. Net income after taxes is lower here, but you could see it's roughly about 10 billion. So some people would actually assume that this company is worth more than what it looks like. And that begins to see why there are people value hunting for this PNB. And one of the ways to unlock that value is essentially to see the revenues and to see the book value. Here you could see that PNB's book value per share is seen to be computed as 100. The tangible book value is 90 pesos. And there's enough cash per share. I'm not sure if this cash per share is correct, but the cash flow per share here is about 3 pesos. So that means that for a company at 40 billion market cap, it has about 10% of that cash, or 4 billion pesos. The valuation will, of course, be discounted to the entire book value today, as can be seen with all the banks. As growth for revenues, net interest expenses, net interest income, all of those are really a difficult thing right now. But upon reading a lot of news insights on PNB, we could see that the market sees that a breakout in PNB is very sure. It broke above. From a chart perspective, the question is, how high can this go? If you just simply look at the chart, some people would assume, all right, there's a resistance here at 32.5 and perhaps another resistance at 38.5. The market is not sure how high the PHC shares will go. So from now, April, until May 13, I'd say that for the next 2 weeks, the market will perhaps find a peak somewhere in the next 2 weeks. Whether that peak is 35 or 38, it remains to be seen. But I think if you're going to ask me, the market knows that it is well beyond 28 pesos. That's why there's a very strong buying demand. In just the last 3 days, this has been strong strength after strength after strength, in such a way that there are people who believe that, well, PNB is perhaps not worth 26 and neither is it worth 28. So whatsoever the actual value of this property shares for the cash dividend and the property dividend, you let the market value that. But that is the most important news, at least for the week. Now let's read ACEN press release today. ACEN is very much sharing their Luzon project. Let's just read this. Making significant strides. They announced their 63 megawatt Gigasol Palawig solar farm. It has now commenced operations. Despite the challenges in construction, Gigasol Palawig has been generating power for supplying Luzon grid. The 2.39 billion peso facility in Zambales is generating over 90 million kilowatt hours of clean power, supporting the country's demand. AC Energy has also started the construction of its next solar farm in Arayat, Mexico, Pampanga. The 72 megawatt solar project is a 50-50 joint venture with Citicorp Solar Energy Corporation. The project is estimated to cost 2.75 billion pesos, ready for operations and supply power to the grid by the summer of 2022. The Palawig Solar Farm is the very first AC Energy 5 new plants beginning operations in 2021, making this an exciting year for the company's Philippine operations, said by the Chief Development Officer of AC Energy, Mr. Jose Maria P. Zabaleta. Our view right now is every Monday, for those who are new in the channel, we seek to give you comprehensive information about the companies Therefore, instead of doing market updates, every Monday you get a deep dive. Last Monday, we made the deep dive on MacroAsia. And then we'll do another deep dive this Monday and then another one next Monday. So every Monday, you'll get deep dives. And what we want you to understand isn't just the buying and selling and the trading of all the Filipinos or non-Filipinos, but definitely the actual business inside. So what are the releases of this company, the press releases, and what are the milestones that they've been achieving, whether you want to keep yourself invested or you probably want to buy more if it dips. So those are the kinds of things that we need to discuss. Second of which, the reason why we made a Wednesday market update is to address questions such as the market. We want to answer any questions you have about the Philippines, specifically just Philippine markets. So every Monday and Wednesday, do catch us in our YouTube channel for these types of shows. Instead of doing like Monday market stream updates that might not be that might not help you, we felt that a deep dive is more conducive and just share to you the best news possible or the most important news, not necessarily the best. It could be one of the bad news, but we have to explain that news for you in between the week. So that's why we chose Wednesday for your market updates. Now, we are also very excited about the Riot Mexico project, which is the very first venture with the CREC. Our collaboration over the past 18 months has been very successful, and we look forward to growing that in the years to come, added Zabaleta. The developments in Central Luzon are the latest in AC Energy's renewable growth strategy as the company continues to embark on a transformational journey. In its recent annual stockholders meeting, the company announced its exceptional turnaround performance for the year 2020 and a record 3.75 billion pesos net income that it has generated. So as we embark and focus on our renewable expansion through continuous renewable energy investments, despite the difficult year, we have constructed 2 new solar plants, battery storage and firming facilities in Luzon. We are generating more than 3,000 jobs within our host communities, reigniting that economy and creating economic activity. ACEN now has over 1,000 megawatts of attributable capacity in the Philippines, almost half of which comes from renewable resources. The company's very strong balance sheet, complemented by a robust pipeline of renewable energy products, should significantly grow the renewable share over time. It is an excellent green fund, green meaningful role in the green-led recovery, as it aspires to become the largest listed renewables platform, not just in the Philippines, but in Southeast Asia. I'm actually very happy to see how ACEN has progressed all of their execution in 2020, resulting in jobs and actually in a clean green energy for the Filipinos. It will be a great thing to actually deep dive ACEN for you. It will be an honor to actually explain great companies in the Philippines. So the thing is, on this Monday, I'll be discussing a part 2 on MacroAsia. The next week, we'll try to explain to you ACEN, like the flow of the Philippines flow and the secular trend in the solar generating and the clean and renewable energy in Southeast Asia. Let's try to read if you have questions first. All right. So, hi Nikki, give me any thoughts on the press release of Tech and the ACEN FU. Okay, so let's take a look at these questions. Tech press release. Let's read that first. There is a news about the commercial paper listing. So for the last couple of years, I'd say that Tech has been trying to raise money in the realm of billions to support their 5G Quintel. So we're going to read this. This is a 1 billion worth of commercial paper as part of its 6 billion pesos commercial paper program. This has already been approved by the SEC. It has been assigned a credit rating of stable outlook, and the company can meet that financial commitment for that, which means that it's stable. The company will use this to refinance their obligations maturing this 2021, to refinance working capital, namely Quintel USA, Surtech Electronics Corp, and Surtech Advanced Technology and Solutions, as it truly takes part in the creation of a truly 5G-enabled world. Quintel designs, develops, delivers advanced, high-efficiency, high-performance antenna products and solutions, helping mobile network operations, increase efficiency, enhance quality of service, slash cost, accelerate returns. It was founded in 2007 as a leading cellular antenna equipment provider, being the first to market the multi-frequency band, multi-port antenna technology, catering to the top two mobile network operators in USA. Kintel antennas are known for its superior wind loading, allowing reduced tower drag due to aerodynamics and ultra-low passive intermodulation that enables quality of service, such as better voice clarity, maximization of data bandwidth, etc. CATC manufactures value-added, highly integrated microwave millimeter wave tech products catering to military, telecoms, satellite comms, enterprise networks, automotive radar, semiconductor test boards, and industrial segment. It offers excellent cost-competitive electronics manufacturing solutions for emerging products of OEMs and ODMs. Today, Certec has built a strong brand within the industry and its customers. It serves for developing, delivering innovative, high-quality products. All right. So if the company has revenues, it is a good thing. But if we don't see clarity in this 5G enabled world, because you are aware that in 5G, you've got the top three. You've got Ericsson, Nokia, and Huawei as the top three 5G networks supporting the entire world. You also have internet in space. You've got Starlink of Tesla. You've got ASTS Mobile. You've got Qualcomm. You've got NVIDIA. So in terms of competition, tech is a player, but a very small player at that. The commercial papers is to advance that all the financing that Kintel needs. I'm not quite sure how big contracts Kintel has with the telecom operators, as all that I see in my readings in 5G, I don't see it as a big player, if I'll be honest. I see the big players in 5G as Ericsson, Nokia, Huawei, Qualcomm, NVIDIA, Xilinx. Those are the big ones. So I think like the press release is towards that goal, but I'm not sure about the revenues. So it's something that they've always wanted to do for quite a while. The ACEN FU is, of course, for them to actually continue their projects. So you're seeing that they need to raise 16.4 billion pesos. They've approved this AC. Ayala Corp is offering 16 billion pesos of the shares. This will be used to refinance loans and fund its transition to expand their energy portfolio. What is 16 billion pesos? It's about $350 million. If you're going to ask me, as long as you've got a 30% IRR in your solar projects, the answer is it is a highly positive thing. You want to actually keep on raising money to supply the entire Philippines, and not just the Philippines, but also Southeast Asia. And what AC Energy is doing is really thinking big. $350 million isn't really huge when you think about the size of the businesses that they're doing. 1,000 megawatts isn't small. So just to clarify, it says here that they plan to sell between an offer price of 6 to 8. That's why ACEN right now is 7 pesos. It's between that range. Comprised of a firm offer of up to 1.58 billion common shares, a firm offer of 330 million common shares, and an oversubscription of up to 100 million common shares. You know, with what AC Energy and Infrastructure is doing, this is going to grant Filipinos, guys, at least, I would assume, at least 10,000 jobs. So that is all a positive thing. SEC approval for ACEN offering is a massive buying opportunity. It is a massive buying opportunity. And so I'd say that is a good thing for Filipinos. Create jobs. You are a secular trend player supplying solar, which is 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Upon my studies, it's half the price of coal. So they could be able to supply not just from Luzon, but also Visayas, Mindanao. Because right now you can increase battery storage. So it will be a good beneficiary. And I hope that it actually helps us become a seller, an exporter of electricity. We could, if we wanted to. Because you could store electricity and batteries. So that's a positive thing, guys. DWC recently announced some acquisitions of assets. Any thoughts? Whenever a company acquires businesses, whether that business is a property or a business is something that complements, it's always a positive thing as long as the acquisition is made with prudent buying. Meaning, was it bought below the market price or was it actually bought above the market price? So with that question, the question is, did DWC acquire a cheap asset? So let's read the news. How much did they acquire their acquisitions? Discovery World, good questions. All right. Press release, April 27, material information. Let's read both. So it says here that they executed a contract with Samal Shores Inc. Management contract, okay? They signed. Discovery Hospitality is your hotel group, and Discovery Samal to elevate Mindanao tourism. This is a debut of an outstanding hotel, resort, and convention center in a beautiful destination. As you know, Discovery is a pioneer, a trailblazing leader in the Philippine hospitality industry. Discovery Hospitality Corporation announced that it has signed a contract with Samal Shores CSG Holdings to manage that up-and-coming grand hotel, which will be introduced as Discovery Samal in the island garden city of Samal, Davao del Norte. This oasis is an unspoiled immense foliage set to strengthen the largest resort city of the country, which is Mindanao, to showcase the possibilities of this destination. Now, you already know that DHC has managed award-winning hotels and resorts from Discovery Primea, Discovery Suites, Discovery Shores Boracay, Club Paradise Palawan. And as the agreement finalizes, this will bring DHE's portfolio expansion to a total of 690 rooms from villas to suites and a total conference capacity of 2,018 people for corporate engagements all across the country. Let's say you have a wedding that you want to do in that Samal Island. Now, we are very much delighted to bring in the well-loved Discovery brands and top-notch always standards for this part of the South. It's our commitment to reach across strategic locations, said by DHC's Chief Operating Officer and Discovery World Corporation President, Mr. June Pareno. Guys, this is a valuable company given that they are growing. And how big is it? It's a 5-hectare property. They're going to open this 2022, just in time for your COVID reopening. You've got the revenge travel. People are looking forward to a reopening and they want to actually travel. That is actually the top one in the bucket list, whether you look in the Filipinos bucket list and even abroad. So what is their top destination? Some people want to go actually to beaches. So the Philippines is actually a top destination if we can only offer safety. So we've got the best beaches wrapped around our islands. And if we can do this, it is going to be very positive for Discovery Samal. All right, so it's 30 minutes away from the airport of Davao. You've got this designed by architect Ed Ledesma and Mr. Interior Designer Manny Samson of MSA Design Corp. Let's take a look. With 162 lavish villas, plush accommodations, inspire your stay, takes the world's flavors, all right. Backed by 20 years of experience, DHC's award-winning team offers its expertise. All right, so did they say how much they paid for this? Press release, how much was the payment? It says here that they signed a contract. We don't know how much. They didn't write, no? Or was it written? Was it written? I didn't see any written amounts. Expands its reach, developing its brand, Kip and Kin, for other resort developers in Visayas and Mindanao, Manami Resort. Attached the press release. You could see actually that they want to be something like known for the Philippine tourist destinations. So they're expansion across the country. Kip and Kin, what is this? It's a new concept combining hostel and hotel approach in one single property. It's a lifestyle and millennial focused brand. So this is similar to how Seda Hotel of Ayala has been doing, right? You've got different types of hotel tiers. Okay, so it's located on the island of Palawan. It's an integrated tourism destination project, 14 kilometers, white sand beaches, 165,000 hectare area, populated by the local and indigenous people. And it is an increasing younger tourism market, Siargao Island. So Cloud9 nearby, yes, the famous resort, offers avid surfers, thrill seekers. Yeah, got it. Okay, I'll discuss these great companies for you. But the answer is positive. It's a positive thing. So in the Philippines, in order to start making money, you have to understand that there are only a few companies that are actually secular trend winners. Very few. Solar is one of them. So you've got ACEN there. Nickel benefits, yes, on electric beneficiary. We discussed that deep dive. DWC will benefit on two things. You have to revalue the land of those destinations. They didn't discuss how much they acquired that asset. But if you try to look back on the history of how DWC, Discovery World, has been buying assets, they do it very low price. So I would assume that if they paid cash for those or joint venture, a mixture, it wouldn't be a huge payment. So in fact, DWC right now at 3.4 is actually perhaps a good opportunity to load up. Whether it goes to 3 pesos or 250, you should look on the bigger term that you want to own a company that is acquiring assets. Or as I said a while ago, PNB is disposing assets. The key criteria there for PNB to go up in price is they have to sell it a huge premium. So, of course, you know that land properties today are very expensive, and PNB has acquired more than 20 years of properties. So if they have so much cash, they can restructure through those disposal of land. That's exactly a cash dividend play for the PHC owners. So what if you get a $1, let's say it's 30 pesos right now, it's 1 peso or 2 peso cash dividend. I don't know if they will, so it could be. So what they did before, we were thinking that they would do an issuance of cash dividend, but what they did was property dividend. So instead of actually having the properties valued today based on sale, you just have asset ownership of the properties. So they separated it. Therefore, PNB eventually will fall. I just don't know how fast, no? Let's say PNB goes up to 35 first. And then, of course, because you don't have the PHC anymore, it will go down because there's no, the reason why PNB is going up today is because you have the right of the property. After which, it just becomes an ordinary bank without the property. So you have two things. If you own PNB right now, you have PNB and PHC. After this record date, it's over. PNB will go down on May 18. As to how high it goes up, I don't know. Maybe it can go 35, 36. But after that, assume that it will fall. So because there's no right anymore for the shares of the real estate. So that, I think, when you ask me how to start doing money here, take note on those types of catalysts. PNB has a catalyst. Any thoughts on APL? No thoughts. I don't know anything about mining. Thoughts on Monday IPO? We don't have news yet. There's no prospectus. So we cannot understand a company without a lot of that. Of course, everyone knows who the consumers are. Monday it's a company that everybody already knows. They go to the supermarket, they see a pancit canton, everything that Monday sells, cookies, it's similar to URC. But the question is, what are the numbers? How much are we gonna value this? Is it 200 billion pesos? Is it 150 billion pesos? How much sales revenues? Are you still growing? Are you still flat? Those are the important things that you gotta ask. Will you be able to read or discuss about MacroAsia and MPI? So my goal, guys, is every week, every Monday, I'm gonna try to discuss a deep dive on various companies, but only one company a week. That way, I could deep dive for you MPI. I could deep dive for you MacroAsia. So every Wednesday is more like market updates, no deep dives. For MacroAsia, the best way to actually understand this company is the transition. It's really a transition. So it's not value per se right now because there's a lot of moving parts in MacroAsia's business. How much is the ground fleet maintenance? That's a question. How much revenues have been gone because of this COVID pandemic, and how fast can we recover those foregone revenues for the year? Now, MPI, it's more stable. Why? MPI only has to battle the infrastructure. MPI is hospitals, MPI is infrastructure, and MPI is a question on how much those units actually generate, other than, of course, their stable income from PLDT and Meralco. So MPI is a utility. It's actually fairly more predictable, except that MPI has a huge debt because it is very much involved in toll roads, similar to what SMC has been doing. MPI and SMC are debt-related infrastructure projects. And what ACEN is doing right now, if you'll notice, is they're raising money. They didn't do debt. It's an equity offering. That's why all the shareholders of ACEN gets diluted if they don't purchase that 6 to 8, whatever that offer price is. But if you ask me, did ACEN do a right thing? It's not wrong, because they want to participate in this 10-year or 20-year boom of solar. And in order to really generate jobs for the Filipinos, if you print money, 10 billion pesos, it's nothing. What's $350 million? 16 billion pesos. It's nothing. But you can multiply that 16 billion pesos to generate at least 50 billion pesos of revenues over time, which will pay for the capex, and that would be maybe about 5 years return on solar, but that is sustainable. That's why you want to actually invest in businesses like that. What do you think is DD's intrinsic value and its current price? Is it a good buy? Bonds are bonds. All the properties have a value. So the value of DD REITs have to do with how much the rental rates right now are for all those PSEI-related properties, the commercial assets. Now, how much does Double Dragon's Meridian Park generate, and how much can they pay? If my understanding is correct, they have about 1 billion pesos every year of net income collected. So they just distribute that dividend. So the intrinsic value is pretty much stable. You don't see PSEI properties going up tenfold in the next 10 years. So I don't think that there's any intrinsic value of price appreciation. But the only appreciation of the stock is just the dividend, the stability. So it's really just a bond replacement. Unless DDMPR will add more properties inside. So that is the question mark. Okay, any thoughts on the MWC FU? The follow-on offering should be just nothing. Why will you actually do anything with it? Just do nothing with it. It's just an informal thing wherein Razon is saying that if you want to sell the shares to him at 13 pesos, then go ahead. But as a minority shareholder, you don't really have to do anything. Why? Because those shares were already agreed upon already with Ayala Corporation's MWC stake. Remember, during the Duterte-related problems with Ayala Corporation, there was the shining knight in shining armor, which was Enrique Razon. The huge stake was actually Enrique Razon taking a stake away from Ayala Corporation. So you as a minority share investor have nothing to do. You just have a new management in play, which is Razon. Thoughts on FA, Aboitiz Power? I think after the restructuring of FA, we haven't seen any news yet on FA. Was there any news? Other than they had been restructuring last year, since last year. So we could see that over the last 6 months, there's been no news on their restructuring. It's just that. So I don't think there's anything to discuss on FA, except that it's just a speculative asset right now that is based on fintech. So they want to just add Squid Pay, and that was it. As of Aboitiz Power, there's no news right now on Aboitiz Power except that it just continually pays dividend. So company disclosures, if we take a look at it, let's clarify. All right, let's read any news about Aboitiz Power. Aboitiz Power is eyeing, all right, so this is something that's maybe more relevant. They want to build more 3,900 megawatts of renewable energy in 10 years, in about a decade, as they want to seek an equal share of renewable and thermal energy capacity in their portfolio. That's a good thing, guys. A 50-50 ratio in a decade is an aspirational target, but you want to aim for that. Therefore, in our shareholders meeting, we want to work on a pipeline of 1,600 megawatts worth of hydro, wind, and solar projects. Guys, this is a good thing. The Filipinos have lacked a lot of jobs. And when I see this plan, it means that Aboitiz Power will take advantage of the renewable energy secular trend by making a huge offering, similar to what AC is doing. So if you are bullish in renewable energy, you are tapping into this opportunity. We confirm the company CEO, Mr. Rubio, we are estimating at least 3,900 megawatts to be taken advantage by 2030. We are starting our solar facility in Cayanga, Pangasinan for 73 megawatts. Our goal is to have a 50-50 between clean energy and thermal plants. And we are working with the DOE, Renewable Portfolio Standards. I hope that this is public. All right, correct. So right now, you are seeing that they are clarifying that they are interested, of course, with renewable energy, and who wouldn't? Why wouldn't you, when the financial repercussions of investing in renewable energy is far cheaper, more practical? It's actually half the price, guys, of a coal plant. So naturally, if you have $1 billion pesos, you get cheaper cost, higher return, and you even save planet Earth. So you've got people, profit, and planet. So everything is good with renewable energy. So this is really a replacement of the current operations of the Philippines that is non-renewable energy. What will they do? They said that they recorded net income of 6 billion pesos for just the first quarter of 2021. It's already 200% higher than 2020. Their non-recurring losses is 29 million, negligible. This was due to higher water inflows, higher spot sales, etc. And they are saying that they had COVID-19 quarantine, so there was a delay in the GN Power Dinginin company, and so an interruption. All right, so we want to keep our growth momentum going, and Aboitiz Power is looking forward to renewable energy conglomerate. It is a pioneer of clean energy. We are currently the Philippines' largest owner and operator of renewable energy based on installed capacity. We want to continue to push this forward, and we want to back it up in continuous operational improvement. Great job for Aboitiz Power. It deserves a deep dive. Aboitiz Power, let's take a look. How much is the market capitalization of this company that supplies energy to all of us in the Philippines? It's a power generator, retail electricity services. So far, it's a 163 billion peso market cap. It's about 30 times, since it made 6 billion pesos, let's try to dive in. How much income did Aboitiz Power make last year, even in a COVID pandemic? We can see that in the financials. See. Or in the news, should be there in the news. Leaps as PH top power generator. Solar firms want more foreign equity stake. All right, so let's read this one. October 30, 2020 for Aboitiz Power. The move is coming as DOE is opening 100% geothermal projects to non-Filipinos. So there's been a clear policy shift on 100% investment in solar, and we will benefit from an inflow of foreign investments. Yes. She was reacting to a policy change by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi. Guys, we're going carbon neutral 2050. Everyone said, some people even said 2035. That's China and the US. So it's very good for seeing companies going in favor of solar. So we currently describe existing 60-40 rule ownership in favor of Filipinos as a stumbling block. That's why we have had less investments in solar and renewable. Therefore, it has to be agreeable that 100% foreign ownership in a solar project is fine. It will be very beneficial for the interest of the Filipinos economically. All right, so that is an issue. Yet to issue a new policy on the geothermal. All right, so Solar Philippines Founder, All right. Moratorium on the new coal power projects. Correct yan. It's a good policy. Okay. In the long term, fix the regulatory. Okay. Sige. All right, so we are seeing that investments are adding more in the Philippines. Foreigners want to enter the Philippines through renewable energy. They want to supply the entire Philippines electricity with renewable, not a problem. Okay, so assuming na lang that they earn 20 billion pesos in a year, it's 6 times multiple right now, and they're expanding. Their current capacity, installed capacity. Let's just simply go to Aboitiz Power. It should be in the Aboitiz Power website and the annual report. I'll try to do this in your deep dives. AboitizPower.com says here that we believe in balance, so they want a 50-50. Our businesses, how much power do we generate? So it's water, right? Water, geothermal, solar, wind. So right now, they still have coal, yes. We'll deep dive this. Just watch out for my deep dive. But definitely, it's a good company. So if you just simply look at the charts, this is what Aboitiz Power is. It's an undervalued company. Nobody's appreciative of the fact that for the last 5 years, it's been a profitable company. Right now, you're seeing 44 go down to 22. In the last 5 years, Aboitiz company fell 50%. So you've got a 50% discount in a company which has not really deterred in making money. And how much dividends does Aboitiz Power pay you? Let's take a look. Dividend history. You want to buy a company that doesn't just make money, but actually pays it out through a dividend. You could see that as of this year, they just paid, as of March 16, 2021, they already paid 85 cents. Last year, they paid a peso. Last year, they paid 1.5. So although the dividends have been falling down, the dividend is still 5%. So guys, so you've got a question. Should I buy DDMPR, gives me 5% dividends, or should I just buy 5% dividends also on Aboitiz Power? I guess I would say that the answer is, the thought of mine is, Aboitiz Power perhaps has a better future because at 22, it can go 41, 41, 44 someday. Meanwhile, in the next 5 years, if they do ensure an expansion on the renewable energy contracts, not only will you have higher dividends will grow, income will grow, and perhaps the share price appreciation is a good thing. So I think that on the question, how do I start making money in the Philippines? Ask yourself a few questions. Is the Philippine company in a secular trend? If it is, then it's a good thing. Is the Philippine company giving me a margin of safety or even a cash dividend? If it is, it's a good thing. Is the company profitable in the last 10 years? That's a good thing. Is the company, while not profitable, going to be profitable in the next 3 to 5 years foreseeably? If it is, then it's a good thing. So those are clear criteria that if you are buying a company and you want to own it, you can make some money if the company has those secular trend, cash, profitability, and growing. Now, it might end, does it have a credible management? Forgot. So those are important things. If you can believe that the management will execute, if they say that they will expand 3,900 capacity megawatts, they could say it, but they might not do it. So important to answer, can they execute it? If you think that the management is credible, then the answer is, can you buy it? The answer is yes. So thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you again on Monday. We'll do deep dives.